Hello everybody and welcome to another ranking video. I am Sanjita and I had a lot of fun ranking all the factions in Galaxy of Heroes, so I wanted to do another ranking video, and something I haven't seen much is a ranking of all journey guide characters. So I'm ranking all the solo characters, solo journey characters, guild journey characters, but not Galactic Legends because they're clearly in a league of their own. And I am considering all game modes, PvP, PvE, and I do have a bit of a bias towards endgame because that's where I am right now, but I do remember what it was like to be in the early game, so I'll try to talk about that a little as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so I'm going over them in the order that they appear in the journey guide from the kind of top area to the bottom, and then guild journeys. Guild Journeys is coming after all the solo journeys. So the first one we're looking at is Emperor Palpatine, and he sits solidly in the C tier. He's very good early game. He actually has the first Zeta I ever applied when I was starting out, and that's Emperor of the Galactic Empire. It gets that turn meter train going for the Empire. Right now he's still awesome in his Starkiller lineup, and you can do a lot of things with him. Right now the Tarkin cheese is going on with the level 9 for the cooldown reduction datacrons, but still a solid character. He doesn't beat out a lot in this list because there's just so many others with great standalone viability. And the next character up is Grandmaster Yoda. So Grandmaster Yoda is amazing, in my opinion. He hits like a truck for a little guy. He has had reworks since he came out, but he was the first legendary character in the game. He was a little lackluster at first, so I've heard, but right now he is amazing. He was actually my first Gear 13. Right when Relics came out, I got him. I knew I had to get him to Relics, and he hits so hard. He's not a good leader, but he is a great plug-and-play Jedi, and a lot of different teams want him. He's Galactic Republic, so he's very flexible. Very solid character, low B tier. Next up, we got Grand Admiral Thrawn, and Thrawn had much more viability pre-Great Nerf of 2021. At that point, he was very useful in a lot of off-meta Galactic Legend counters because he could fracture the Galactic Legends. But right now, while he does still have some usefulness and viability, he can't fracture Galactic Legends, so that really kind of limits him. So he is relegated down to C tier, where he may have been higher before. Next up, we got R2-D2, and R2-D2 is... He used to be pretty good. He offers passive cleansing. He puts the whole team under stealth. He can stun on the basic. He gives extra stats to his whole team. But right now, there's just not much of a place for him. So sadly, he's in the D tier. He used to be way better when he came out. He used to fit well into a CLS squad, but his spot kind of got lost to Chupio. And he doesn't have much of a home right now. Some people use him with resistance. Sometimes he can be used with Grandmaster Kenobi for some shenanigans. But right now, he doesn't have much of a home. And next up, we got BB-8. Now, BB-8, he is D tier, in my opinion, and he does have a lot of usefulness. He's great on a General Grievous squad, great in a sortie squad, but he kind of just provides that initial turn meter boost, and that's kind of it. He does counterattack, but I just don't see as much value in BB-8 anymore, so that's why he sits at D tier. I wish I could rank him higher, but with how the actual journey guide lays out, he is one of the weaker characters. Next up, we're looking at Padme, and she is falling top of the C tier as well. Now, Padme is a very strong leader, but she has lost a lot in the past year and a half or so with Jedi Master Kenobi. She doesn't have as much of a team anymore, and in Grand Arena, she's lost Anakin to Qui-Gon Jinn, for those who have his Omicron. I still think she's a very strong leader, and you can do a lot of creative stuff with her. But back in the day, her solid lineup had JKA, Ahsoka, General Kenobi, and maybe C-3PO, but those are kind of cannibalized by other teams right now in PvP modes, and she doesn't do much in PvE, so that's why she is kind of top of C tier. Next up is the first Hero's Journey character ever in Galaxy of Heroes, and that is Commander Luke Skywalker. He's at the bottom of the A tier. Not much I need to say about him. He's amazing. His team is amazing. One of the best non-Galactic Legend teams in the game. He can take out a lot of stuff. He can take out General Skywalker. He can take out probably a Dash team, even with the strong datacron right now. But just an amazing, amazing leader. Next up, we got Jedi training Rey, and time has not been good to her. She is at the bottom of the C tier, and for a hero's journey character, she's pretty lackluster. She doesn't have as much to give in this day and age with relics and datacrons and so much going on. She's kind of a single target focus kind of character, which doesn't get her very far, and most of her team is under Galactic Legend Ray nowadays, and a lot of times she's not even used as a leader anymore. She's just kind of a passive tank there that doesn't taunt unless forced upon her by another ability, but she does have a cleanse which is useful, and she can do healing immunity. Next up we have Besca Armor Mando, and I am ranking him middle of the B tier. I do think he has a little bit more use than a lot of people are giving to him. He also has a ship, which I'm not necessarily considering, but you can do a lot of cool things with him right now. And with datacrons especially, he's kind of taken to a whole new level. But there's a lot of theory crafting that you can do with BAM, so I think he does merit at least mid-B tier. Next up, we got the Grand Inquisitor, and this is the only character in the Journey Guide that I don't have yet, because he's very expensive. But he is a very strong character, and his team is very good. I do put him just ahead of Yoda because he does have a lot of synergy with the Inquisitors, and in Territory Wars he's to a whole new level. And in Grand Arena, you need something good to take him out. You can't just go in there with anything. You can't go in with a weak team. You need something strong to be able to handle this guy. Next up, we have Starkiller, and I am putting him in the A tier just above Commander Luke. He is very GSC focused, so outside of that game mode, he doesn't have as much to offer. But in Territory Wars, if you apply the Omicron to Juhani, he is very strong as well. But he's a very versatile character. He's a pseudo-galactic legend in his own right in Grand Arena, but there's still a lot of use you can get with him otherwise, so that's why he merits in the lower A tier. Next up, we have one of my favorite characters in the whole game, and that's Jedi Knight Revan. Jedi Knight Revan kind of ushered in the new age of Galaxy of Heroes. His kit is extremely long, he's extremely powerful, and he can just do so much. He's not dominating the meta nowadays like he used to, but I kind of think of him in my head as the maestro or the conductor. He kind of just directs the field. He can mark someone, he can swap turn meter, do the cleanse. He has his savior mechanic. If he's in the lead, he can even save himself. Just an amazing character, still a lot of viability. You can use him on his own standard team with Yoda and other Old Republic Jedi. You can use him with Jedi Master Luke to take out some tougher teams. You could also use him with Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker to take out Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Just a lot of stuff you can do with Jedi Knight Revan. And when I got Jedi Knight Revan, that was the first time I actually made it to the top of the leaderboard in Squad Arena, so he is very near and dear to me. Next up, we have his counterpart, Darth Revan, when Revan went to the dark side and didn't stay with the light. I think he is a little bit stronger than Jedi Knight Revan. I debated even putting him in S tier because I think that AoE fear is just on another level. No matter what, I mean, there's plenty of characters that are immune to fear nowadays, but he is so strong. When I was starting out in the game in 2019, this guy was the most overpowered thing, him and Malik alongside each other, but still really scary. I think his leadership is extremely strong, and even though Malgus is kind of in charge now, I think Darth Revan is just one of the best leaders in the game that's not a galactic legend. Next up, we got Chewbacca, and he's coming in at the top of the B tier. He kind of suffers from not being a leader, but he's very strong on that CLS team alongside his buddy Han Solo. He keeps the team healed up, and guard is huge. You usually keep Han Solo guarded as well as Commander Luke. There might be others, but preventing critical hits on two teammates is just an enormous benefit. Next up, we got our first non-attacking character, and that is C-3PO. Very difficult unlock with Ewoks. Doing it with Gear 9 is possible, but it's very difficult and will kind of make you go crazy. But this guy is extremely versatile. He does so much for whatever team he's on, whether it be Rebels, Galactic Republic, or Resistance. He inflicts expose, he drops confusion on the enemy team, which prevents them from getting buffs, sometimes attacking. And that translation on your team does a lot. Boosts stats. He can reduce his team's cooldowns. So this guy just does a lot, which merits him being in the B tier. Next up, we have Darth Malak. and he is our first S tier journey guide character. He's amazing. Him and Darth Revan go hand in hand, but back when they were at the top of the game, Malak was still considered better. He has a lot of solo potential, or he used to. You can still do some solos even now with the crazy amount of relics out there and datacrons and such. But inflicting fear on anyone that hits him too hard is just so broken. And just the way he is resilient, he's one of the hardest characters to kill if you don't have a plan for him. And back in the day, he was kind of like a pseudo-galactic legend. Even if he was stuck on his own, you really didn't have much to take him out on his own. In Grand Arena, you needed a full team that you wanted to use for something else, but you'd still need a full extra team to take him out. Next up, we got General Skywalker, and most people probably guess that he is the best journey guide character in the game. General Skywalker was the last meta prior to Galactic Legends in Squad Arena. He was ushered in to take down Darth Revan and Malak. He does so many things. Pre-nerf, he was very strong. He hit a lot harder. But post-nerf, him and his 501st are an amazing team, and he's pretty much stuck there with them. But AoE days, attacking twice every turn, decreasing the enemy's max health, increasing cooldowns. He just does so much, and he still has so much to offer even now. Next up, we have Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, and he is in the middle of S tier. Amazing character. He just can do so much. He's immune to stun and daze. He throws out AoE stun. His buff is incredible. His lead is amazing for territory battle. And when you stick him with his future self, Jedi Master Luke, he just goes on another level. But he's just so strong. I do think he's a character that was better before the nerf. Great nerf of 2021, but he's still very solid today, even without that ignore defense. But before then, he might have even gone above General Skywalker. Right now, we have worked through all these solo journeys, and we are now on to the guild journeys. This is either a raid character or a territory battle character. And the first up is Han Solo, and he is top of the B tier, right next to his pal Chewie. It's hard to decide where to put them, one or two. But they are very close together. Han does so much. He stuns first turn. He's always going to go first no matter what, unless there's a faster Han on the enemy team. And he's going to stun someone right away, which really gets you going. And on a Commander Luke team, which he is most of the time, you really get your turn meter going as well. But right now, him and Chewie can go with Dash Rendar a lot, and he offers just as much there. But you really want to keep him with Chewie because of his guard. Next up, we have Darth Trea, and I still think Darth Trea is a very strong leader, but just nowadays, there's not as much that she can take out with her standard team, and she doesn't have much PvE viability as far as raids. Territory battle, you can make some stuff work, but her isolate mechanic is very strong. I ranked her above Jedi Training Rey, but below Palpatine, because most of the time, I would like Palpatine as opposed to her. Although in a head-to-head, I think a Palpatine team would have a lot of trouble with Trea. But she does a lot. She penalizes attacks out of turn if she's the lead, and she gets rid of all debuffs on her team unless they're locked, which is just an incredible benefit. And I could probably rank her higher, but this is what I settled with for now. Next up, we got General Kenobi. He is the second of 3 raid characters, but he's I still would rank him middle B tier, and even after Han. So it's kind of a funny observation. The raid characters in order they came out are strongest to weakest in my opinion right now. There's Han, then GK, then Trea. But GK does a lot. He can fit into almost any team in some way or another. Although now you want him with just Galactic Republic. He gives out critical immunity to his whole team, crit hit immunity. He can give out Foresight on his basic. He cleanses debuffs and gives the reverse. He calls a Mass Swarm. Just a very durable character. Very, very strong. And the last group of characters are territory battle characters. And the first one we're going over is Rolo, Rebel Officer Leia Organa, which is our first F tier. She is just not very good at all. I'm glad I kind of included guild journeys in this list because I wouldn't have much to put in F tier otherwise. She basically does nothing in PvP. In PvE, she can be useful for TB if you have her Omicron, but I don't think it's worth it. I think it's worth just building up your CLS team and clearing with that. I don't have her Omicron, and I have no trouble getting 4 out of 4s in every round. But for an earlier game perspective, she might be worth it to get through that light side Geonosis territory battle, which is very difficult in the beginning. So she does have some use in the early game stage, but late game, she is definitely F. Next up, we got Imperial Pro Droid, and this is the most useless character in the Journey Guide, I believe. You don't have to necessarily, if you're doing Hoth, you don't have to target it as much with your on your own to try and get. Your guild might passively get it over time, but if you're not running Hoth territory battle, you need to buy him with Get 2. He just doesn't have much viability now. He used to before the great nerf of 2021 alongside Darth Vader and taking out Rey squads, but I just don't see any use for him, so he is an easy choice bottom of the barrel. Next up, we got Wat Tambor, and Wat Tambor is in the middle of A tier. Now, he can't do as much as he used to because his weapon tech is severely weakened. He doesn't ignore defense, it just grants turn meter, but that's still something, but I don't know. I think they should change the name from weapon tech because it's not really a weapon. But this guy makes anyone have a force taunt, and he gives out the health tech. He's just extremely plug-and-play viable, and he's a key component in a lot of Galactic Legend counters, so he merits being in the middle of A tier, just above Starkiller, because he is viable in so many game modes. Last up, we got Eddie Mundi, and Eddie Mundi is amazing. It's hard for me to put him lower B tier, but he has less viability than most of the characters over him. You could argue against it, and I'll love to hear that argument. But he's kind of like another version of Yoda to me. He's a damage-dealing Galactic Republic Jedi. He doesn't give out foresight like Yoda. He doesn't churn through his turns like Yoda, but he does massive, massive damage. He might be the single hardest hitting non-Galactic Legend in the game that you could get up to, because Jedi Knight Luke is weaker than he used to be, and same with Gas. But Cam is just so strong. Definitely worth getting. So build up your 5 first with your guild to unlock this guy. So that's it for this ranking. It's been fun for me. Let me know what you think. Let me know who you disagree with and what you would switch around. But that's it for me today. This is Sanjita signing off.